News of Lori Harvey and Michael B. Jordan hit the media a few days ago, and it was reported that the primary reason for their split was the fact that Michael B. Jordan wanted something a little bit more serious, like a long-term relationship that could probably lead to marriage as well. And Lori Harvey did not want the exact same thing. So in this video, I want to talk about 3 very important, tough lessons that every man should learn from the Lori Harvey and Michael B. Jordan breakup. So make sure you watch till the end. Lesson number 1: modern women want to be husbands. The reality is, to a very large extent, there is almost nothing wrong with Lori Harvey wanting to stay single, build her brand, and quote-unquote live her best life to a large extent. But at the same time, we cannot pretend like the way celebrities act does not affect the trend that the society begins to follow, in the sense that people who have huge followings online, right, could be doing little things that to them don't really mean much or don't really mean anything, but it is having a substantial effect on the society at large, right? So little things like deciding to get married when you're 38 years old as a woman, right, seems like nothing. But imagine if you are a woman who has 50 million followers on Instagram, right? You have technically influenced, let's say, 2 to 3% of those women, if not more, right? So I'm saying this because there's always the argument of, well, she's not harming anybody. Like, who did she kill? You know, there's always that argument. But what people fail to understand is, in as much as it might not necessarily be harming anybody, you know, directly, behaviors that have, you know, a detrimental effect to the society in the long term, right? In the sense that if the society adopts the behavior of that celebrity at large, it messes up the society. Behaviors like that should be talked about and should be kicked against. You don't have to kill a person, right, for it to have a negative effect on the society. Now back to my initial points. Lori Harvey choosing to stay single, build her brand, and be free, technically, right, is not wrong on her part. But there's a message that I think every man at home should learn. Most of these women are building themselves to be men. Like, they are building themselves to be the husbands they would like to have in the future. That's what they are doing, right? Because explain to me, right, why a Lori Harvey, who is 25, would rather choose being single, right, than being with a man who she likes, one, and who is also of that caliber at the exact same time. Why would she choose being single over that? My guess, right, is she still believes that she has a lot more like single life to live, in the sense of building her brand, you know, being free to party and to travel. And do you understand? She sees getting together with a man at that point in her life as being restricting. Do you understand? That's what she sees it as. And if you're being very like objective, you could understand why she would see that. That is what the world has been programmed to believe, or most women have been programmed to believe. Do you understand? That you like latching on to a man at the young age of 25, 26, right, is you limiting yourself. That is what they are taught. But the problem with that teaching is, if only these women, right, could stay single their entire lives, that wouldn't be a problem, right? If only these women would understand that at the ages of 38, 39, when they eventually decide to settle down, men would not be as interested. If they could understand this, right, and still live the life that they are living, then there's almost no problem. But they don't understand this, or at least they think they do, but then when they get to that age, everything is weird to them. You're 38, right? You have fewer options than you did. Fewer men are talking, texting, or trying to get with you, you know, and it's alien to you. It's weird to you because nobody teaches you at a younger age that if deep down you know that you're going to want to have a family, right? If you are a woman, you don't have the agency that a man has to stay single till 35, 40, 45. You don't have the same agency as him. But most women are not taught this. They are lied to. Men and women don't play by the same rules. And this is also, there's something else I want to say. There's the whole argument of Lori Harvey not settling down with him because of the age gap. What age gap? She's 25, he's 35. Did she not date Diddy at some point? I thought Diddy was like 50 years old, or like 49 when she dated him. What are you guys talking about, an age gap? People say age gap like a 35-year-old Michael B. Jordan is supposed to settle down with a 35-year-old woman. Men and women don't play by the same rules. We don't have the same timetable when it comes to settling down. It is generally in a woman's best interest to settle down earlier, 28, 29. Do you understand? At that age, or 27. Do you understand? Because first of all, she's, you know, way more fertile the younger she is, and she's also way more attractive to most men the younger she is. So the whole talk of her being 25 and him being 35 what age is the right age for a 25-year-old woman to get married to? Because generally, most 25-year-old girls are probably not going to be interested in their age mates. There will be anomalies, but like in general, that's not how it's going to be. Lesson number 2: women can be emotional, but men are the true romantics. By romantic, I mean having a very idealistic picture of dating, marriage, relationships, and sexual market value, right? Men have a very ideal picture of what dating should be like. Women have a very realistic picture of it. The reality is, from a very young age, most women already understand men. They already understand how to deal with men. They already understand how to get what they want from men from a very young age. But most men need to learn, like for most men, this is a learned skill, right? For most men either have to go through multiple breakups to get this understanding or, consume content like this, right? But for women, they have 19, 20 and they have a firm grasp on controlling 35 to 40-year-old men. There's a reason why there are like 50 times the amount of masculinity and dating, podcasts and YouTube channels for men than there are for women. And that reason is, what do you really want to teach a woman about getting or attaining a man? She already knows that. She already knows what to do, right? Yes, like nowadays, women are kind of losing touch, with the things that men find attractive, right? But on a very limbic level, right? Women understand what to do to get a man. They get it. They don't need to be taught this thing. But men in general have a very fairy tale-ish picture of dating, right? Like it is easier for you to see a man who is rich, tall, attractive, but still simping for women, like simping for women who are of quote unquote less value than him. It is easier for you to find a man like that than for you to find a woman who is attractive, has big boobs, has a big ass, has a lot of money, who settles for a man of lesser value than her. You can almost never find that anywhere. You can't, right? Because women have a very realistic understanding of what dating should be. Yes, they can be emotional with their decision making sometimes, but like when you look at the entire picture, right? Men are more of the romantics than women. Lesson number 3: a woman's past is the blueprint for her future. Now, this is not a rule that is set in stone. There's obviously going to be women who are able to turn around and have better lives in the future, like change from their whorish ways in the past, right? Life, like I always say, is a numbers game, and more often than not, a woman who has a sketchy past you're going to see the results of that in her future, right? If I'm not mistaken, Harvey has had a past with Future, Diddy's son, and Trey Songz. And if you are being very honest, right, looking at the kind of men a woman chooses to date can tell you a lot about that woman specifically, right? I'm not trying to shit on those guys, but the reality is, her dating that set of guys should explain to you that she's not out here looking for some form of long-term commitment or serious relationship. She's actively going after men that can, first of all, build her brand, right? And men that she can have a great time with. Those are the characteristics of those men I just mentioned. She's not looking for a long-term, husband kind of man. Do you understand? That is what Michael B. Jordan should have gotten from her past relationships. But that's the thing I was talking about in my last point. Us as men have a very romantic understanding of dating and relationships, to the point that we throw away all logic when it comes to a woman we love. Yes, men can be logical, right? But when we are overcome with love, man, we act very stupid, and we disregard a lot of red flags in women. I'm not saying Harvey is a bad person for not wanting to settle down or for dating certain types of men. She's not quote unquote a bad person, right? But for a man like Michael B. Jordan, who is kind of conservative, who is an upstanding man, basically, who wants to have a healthy family, that is not the type of woman you want. There are men, right, who would work perfectly with Harvey, but those men are not like Michael B. Jordan.